inviting
Very
me.
warm welcome to you, Paula. So,
Namaste.
thanks everybody for really apologies for this technical glitch, but we are glad to have Paula with us today. And I just wanted to give you a sense of, what inspired us to start this series of Beyond Status Quo. We are all aware of what's happening around the world, and every country has been impacted, every business, every trade, every profession has been significantly impacted with what's happening around the globe. And we all agree that in whatever shape or form we are doing currently our profession or business or job, it will never be the same again after the current crisis gets over, hopefully in the near to short term. And what we believe, and we were having a informal discussion in our federation, that what used to work till now will not work. The proverbial what got you here will not get you there seems so true. The behaviors of people are changing, whether it's social distancing or whether people are remotely working from home, and many of these unprecedented measures are now being accepted by public at large. So what we realized was that the status quo per se will not help get us beyond this crisis. So we really have to apply our thinking hats and think beyond status quo in whatever profession or field of work we may be in. So with that agenda, we wanted to get some global perspective. So that is why we're starting this series with absolutely the right person who's gonna give us who's a master at international trade, and I can vouch for it because I have experience working with her in the past, and she's gonna really give us a perspective of how US is looking at international trade globally. And to have this conversation with her, I also want to invite my co-host Sushma Mathur, who's a legal and compliance expert. And before I get into the further conversation with Paula, I just wanted to read out a short bio about Paula, so all of us know, what an honor it is to have Paula with us today. I'm not going to go into complete detail of Paula's bio because it's going to take up half an hour in itself, and we are short on time. So I'm going to just share a few nuggets with you so you all get a sense of, the breadth and width of expertise she brings to from the context of international trade. Paula Isaac Baraya is the Economic Development Specialist of International Trade at Broward County, Florida State. Uh, Her role spans across, developing the ecosystem of international trade and relationships between the Broward County with other states within US, and also bringing in outside, investors, startups, and trade businesses and chambers of commerce globally. She also assists Broward County businesses to reach global markets. So it's both inward as well as outward support which she gives, and she does it in a very innovative way. She doesn't do it through only events or conferences. She does very focused seminars, and I've been privileged to be part of some of those seminars. And people, uh, they leave behind those seminars coming so informed, well connected. She is a master networker herself, and she has helped so many businesses, small and medium, to get access to global markets. And one of the largest event properties she has built over the last few years is called FITSE, which is the Florida International Trade Expo, Trade and Culture Expo. And last year was the biggest and the largest FITSE ever done. And some of us also had the opportunity to attend it in person, and we were left completely mesmerized and impressed with what a great show was put on by Paula, almost single-handedly with support of her team. And because of all of these great work she has been doing, she's also been recognized for President's E Award for Export Service, the highest honor by executive order of the President for contribution of expansion of US exports. It's a huge honor. She is also recipient of many awards like Distinguished Woman of the Year, International Promoter of the Year. So in short, you get the sense that we are in extremely safe hands when it comes to international trade. So, before we get into the detailed conversation, Paula, you yourself are in the middle of the action. You know what's happening around the world. What I wanted to understand from you, and I'm sure many of our viewers also want to get a sense from you, that when we talk about whether we talk about Broward County or Florida as a state or US in general, how do you see the broad international trade activities panning out in the near to short term? We know in the long term everything probably will come back to normalcy. But in the next 12 to 18 months, what is your sense of the international trade activity, whether it's your local businesses wanting to go abroad or
Mhm.
international businesses wanting to come to Broward County? What is your feel? What kind of feelers are you getting in the market?
Well, first of all, namaste, Kartik, and thank you to all of you for having me today. And it's a great honor. I love India, and we love collaborating with India. I'm reporting live from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Fort Lauderdale is part of the second largest county in Florida. Many people know Miami, but soon they will know Fort Lauderdale as well because we're growing very fast. So, but definitely, this is a wonderful question and a very pertinent question that you're asking in these times. As you know, the USA has been one of the countries, if not the country, most impacted by COVID-19. And what are we looking at in terms of international trade moving forward? Well, as a matter of fact, I'm preparing a webinar that I also will share with you so you can share with your attendees that will be at the end of May that will tell about all the updates for international trade and all the industries. Because even though right now there's a bit of a standstill because of what's going on, people are staying at home, they're locked down, some people are not at work, businesses are closing. However, international trade, supply chains are still moving. And especially when you look at the food industry, you're looking at the pharmaceutical industry, you're looking at medical device. You know, here, even the state of Florida, we needed a lot of hospital beds, ventilators, masks. Mask is probably the number one right now product being traded around the world. We're also looking at e-commerce because, you know, all the stores here in the United States, all the non-essential stores have closed. So now people are ordering their clothes, they're ordering everything online. So e-com is really booming right now. And then believe it or not, real estate. I had some people that were stuck here from Italy, from all over the world. They couldn't go back yet to their country. And you know what? They're looking to buy real estate here in Florida. So even real estate is moving. And then I would also say technology, because we need technology like this technology that we're using right now, like Zoom, like any other technology, so that we can connect the world even though we are stuck in our houses.
Right. And since you mentioned about supply chains still moving in and some of the businesses are still operational. But at the same time, we also hear, Sushma and I were having a conversation since he's a legal expert. There are a lot of concerns around, how some of these contracts which are already in place and people who have already sold businesses, how would
Mhm.
that work out? Sushma, want to add on to that?
Yeah, Paula, so what we just want to know that, we see lots of commercial agreements. So how is Florida coping with it? Because, these days, to fulfill the contracts as it is not at all possible. So, like, for example, supply chains, as you mentioned. So it's a big worry now, throughout the world that how should we
Mhm.
address it? So we just want to have the perspective that how Florida is coping with it.
Okay, well, first of all, I have to make a disclaimer because in my role teaching companies on how to export, I don't get involved in the commercial contract agreement. However, what I can tell you is what I've seen from my client is that it has been postponed. You know, yes, there's been some issues where maybe the port, our port is open. You know, many ports are still open. Trade is still flowing. However, yes, there has been some issues where maybe the cargo got held up or contracts are not being fulfilled because or delayed. I would say it's more like of a delay versus a complete standstill or stop. So in that respect, but I cannot go too much into the legality of things of how it's affecting businesses because we haven't. What we do is we receive phone calls from our local business community, and they
Mhm.
express to us what they're experiencing right now.
Hmm.
So in
Right.
then in this particular question, we didn't have many phone calls regarding this, but from what I've heard from other, even our neighbor country, Miami, they've been telling me that yes, you know, there's been some companies that are suffering because of these, inefficiencies because of COVID, but it's more in terms of that can be resolved by because it's a delay versus not fulfilling agreements. Or and there's a lot of understanding. I think that right now, when people talk businesses, between businesses, B2B, they understand we're going through COVID, so they know that things are not moving sometimes. So there has to be a certain level of understanding between the businesses, and
Hmm.
trust is number one. So that's what I'm seeing that trust is remaining
Right.
within the two entities, and there being understanding that there will be a delay. Okay, there might be some bad experiences that I cannot comment on, but that can happen even without COVID.
Right, right, absolutely. In fact, I want to ask you something which is very close to your heart. The events which you do, I know how much you love doing seminars and events. Now, with the current situation, you cannot do it with the same grandeur, and some of those trade shows, events cannot happen. How do you see, the role of or the opportunity to use technology, some of the things which we are using right now, or even doing virtual event streaming? Do you see something like you did Fitzy last year? Could you even imagine that sort of grandeur and scale being transferred through technology? Do you see an opportunity for that?
Well, it's a very pertinent question, especially in these times. And before I jump into pizza, I'm going to go into the webinars because, you've been to some of my workshops. We do them in person. And you know why? Because of the networking. Because
Right.
then you meet somebody face to face and then you start doing business. Because my
Hmm.
workshops are not only about information sharing, but
Right.
I always integrate a meet and greet component so that the
Hmm.
people that are there, remember when you came, there was the consulate of Brazil was there in the room.
Right.
There was other people, maybe not necessarily related to the topic that day, but it was
Hmm.
amazing to see the people that are there and the networking that can occur. So with technology, even in our office, we do other types of workshop, and we've been having the challenge: how do you host a meet and greet virtually, like a
Hmm.
virtual meet and greet? Because like in a software like this in Zoom, you see
Hmm.
everybody up there. You see their little picture, their icon,
Right.
or people are on video, and you can chat with each other. This is great. I'm happy that technology allows us to do that, but it's you know how it's different when you're in person.
Hmm.
So
Right.
that's a little bit where we're losing a bit that connectivity to person, but at the same time we're winning because we're winning a broader audience. Because now imagine my webinar in May that I'm gonna do, and we're most probably gonna use Zoom also.
Hmm.
We're gonna be, people from India now can log in. Before they
Right.
couldn't come to my workshops. Now we can invite people from India. We can invite people from the Bahamas, from Italy, and so that is where technology is beautiful because it allows us to connect us even more. Yes, we lose the face-to-face touch, but at least we
Hmm.
can connect. Now, when you're talking about FITSE is a 2,000 people conference, okay? Last year
Hmm.
we had over that registered, but showing up almost 2,000 people. We have former presidents coming from Latin America, the former president of Ecuador, of Panama, of Costa Rica. So we have very important people coming here. Now, the county has decided this year to delay FITSE. It was supposed to be October 13 and 14, but unfortunately, we're going to have to delay it because of the COVID. We want to give enough time for the delegations to be able to plan to come here, to get their visas,
Right.
for the sponsors to feel comfortable. You know what I mean? So basically, a lot of people, not you, have asked me, would you be willing to host it virtually? But the county has not accepted the virtual for that conference. For the webinars, yes. For the conference, not yet virtual. Because we're a government, and believe it or not, we want to be technologically advanced.
Hmm.
But the government sometimes is a bureaucracy. I
Right.
have to admit, and things
Right.
going, unfortunately, takes more time, and it's not always accepted for many reasons. It could be even legality reasons and things like that. So while our government and appreciates where technology is going, the bureaucracy is not letting us move quickly enough to take
Right.
advantage of some of these technological abilities. So what I would say is that next year we will continue having FITSE in person, and we will
Okay.
announce next year in 2021 the dates in advance so that we can invite all the community and everybody in India. You guys came last year, it was amazing. I'm going to tell you, your delegation was very well highlighted, and everybody was so excited to see India there, but they want to see more people coming from India. So I think that we can work together and getting more people to come. We could do certain things virtually, like
Hmm.
webinars, like what we're doing right now, and maybe build up the momentum. If we do things, we can build the momentum up until FITSE comes and help people to register and come. So that's why I see technology is very important for us, even though we're bureaucratic and we try to, adapt as best as we can.
Right. And very interesting you mentioned that how you would still continue to provide support, and these seminars in a webinar format can be given. But do you see an opportunity to use, I don't know, maybe technology or do it remotely in some manner? Because a lot of these MSMEs or companies who want to do international expansion, they need a lot of hand holding, support. And one
Yeah,
session sometimes is not enough. It's very different
right.
when they know your number, they call you up or they meet you in the office, sit with you across the table and, discuss their concerns, and you can help them draft applications, grants, all those things. How do you see that getting translated in a virtual environment? Do you think that sort of a hand holding and support on an ongoing basis or mentorship which you provide, can it be done remotely in
Yes.
some way?
I believe it can. I haven't done it yet, to be honest with you. It's a very interesting concept that you bring. I've participated in webinars like this, or group sessions, and giving educational format, informative information. But I would like to do more one-on-one. And if I have the technology now, if anybody wants to, if you have people in India that would like to come here to the US, they schedule. Now they have to realize that I'm the only one, like you were saying before, the conference was almost done by one person. So I'm the only one in the office doing my role. So we have a limited staff that we can maybe assist, like, if they understand with the patients that we want to, I mean, definitely any business that wants to come from India, that's why we look at also partners, we work with collaborate with the federation, that I'm sure we're going to hear from soon, and they can help us with the hand holding for these businesses that want to expand to the US. Now, expansion can mean that they want to sell their services here, they want to sell their products, or even maybe even one day have an office here. And when you look at Broward County in Florida, we're in the middle of all the Americas, from Canada in the north to all the Latin America in the south. We're really in the middle. So yes, definitely, it's a good question, because I can give one-on-one sessions for businesses that are interested if they email me first, and I can schedule it, and just so that everybody understands that I'm doing this by myself. So, there might be some
Right.
limitations in the response or timing, but it would be my pleasure.
Okay.
Right. And interesting, since you mentioned about the issues of staff being less and people working remotely, and I think Sushma and I were having the same conversation that, like in India and in many parts of the world, there are issues around either the roles of employees being changed and how do you manage a workforce remotely. Do you want to build on that, Sushma?
Yeah, so Paula, you just mentioned about SME. So, we wanted to address that here. So, we would like to know how employer-employee relationship is shaping up during this lockdown, as many industries are not functioning. So, our employees get receiving salaries. So, and what kind of measures the government has taken for supporting the companies, especially SMEs? So, if you would like to throw some light on that, any loans have been.
Yes, that's a very good question and pertinent question, because unfortunately, I feel like in many countries as well, we're not the only one. Many small businesses are struggling right now. The SMEs are struggling because they're number one, they're trying to survive. They're trying to stay open because they don't want to lay off employees. So they're trying their best. There's been a few seminars that the county has given and other entities to find creative solutions, how manage your finances to be able as much to retain your employees. Now the government has stepped in. There is a program called the Victim Protection Plan, the PPP, that the U.S. government has issued, and there's other two loans, the bridge loans and the economic recovery loan. that has been out to help these small businesses. And so through an organization, we have an organization called the Small Business Development Agency and the Small Business Development Centers. They have been the one who have been helping the businesses to apply for these loans. Also, the banks now, the government has allowed the banks to be able to give those loans to the businesses. However, up until the end of last week, all the money ran out already. So that's a problem, you know. And then now they're voting. They're trying to get more funds into the program, more trillions of dollars. So we feel that with those programs, of course, it may not help all the businesses, but it will help at least somehow to sustain some of the businesses alive. And that payment protection plan is specifically to try to get your employees to not lay off your employees, to keep them there. And then if for whatever reason you have to lay off your employees, then we also have the unemployment program. So we've been giving a lot of resources on how to either apply for unemployment or go into another job temporarily, because we have to remember, this is temporary. However, there's some business that may never recover from this. We hope most of the business will try to recover even in the long run, but in the time being, people are applying. You know, we had like, you know, over 22 million people apply for unemployment, which is very significant. But also we have some situation where we're trying to put people on other jobs, like even supermarkets. People were working in the restaurants, now they're working in the supermarkets, for example, you know. So there will be an impact for sure. And there is, you know, of course, tension between employees and employees, but I have this feeling, everybody in the US is being understanding of the situation, and let me tell you the key word, we are being very hopeful, because already, as of, I think it's tonight, the state of Georgia is reopening completely. Can you imagine? So we are reopening
Wow.
already. And there's you know, maybe in May, we're going to see the beaches are reopening in Miami on Monday. So everything is reopening. Well, gradually, of course, you know, it might not be the safest strategy, but people are, once we open things, people are going to jump on commercialism. They're so waiting to buy stuff, to go to, you know, even to go to clubs, to go to restaurants, to consume. Now, of course, there's some people that have been affected financially, so they won't have the power, the purchasing power like before. But eventually, with time, we're hoping that, you know, things pick back up again, you know. So there's a certain level of hope anyways, despite this difficult situation, you know.
Right.
So, what,
And now we're gonna just take a couple of questions
Karthik,
in
just
the last 5-10 minutes. Sorry.
sorry, just one related question here, Paula. You think that to survive, these SMEs should merge and come together, or you feel that personally the government package which has been imparted is sufficient enough to let these companies sustain on standalone basis?
Well, I think that like one of the loans you can do up to 10 million. So the ones that have been approved for a loan for 10 million, I think it will be sufficient enough for them. But the issue is that not every business got the loan.
Hmm.
And also, they have to think that even though they get the help from the government, they have to find creative ways to reorganize their accounting, their finances, how they're going to spread out the year now, because now you've been impacted by a major significant loss for maybe 3-4 months or maybe even more. And how do you spread that out? How do you spread your loss to recover it over the long term? So the businesses are challenged in two ways. Some of the government assistance is going to help them partially. I don't think it's going to help them fully, but they are going to have to be really creative in how they restructure or even change the way they, like the restaurants now, they're doing more delivery and takeaway. Then that is basically the way that the businesses change. The business model has to be tweaked a little bit so that you can still make sales somehow. So in certain industries, you have the flexibility to do so. In other industries, you will not have that flexibility. So I cannot give you a general answer because it's going to vary by industry and business type and model. But what I can say is that our government programs here in the US, they've been pretty solid. I don't know, I haven't compared the entire world, but I spoke to people Like in Italy, they don't have these programs. I don't know in India if you have similar programs, but some countries don't even have those programs. So already, like I would say, it's better than nothing, and then it helps a little bit, but then you also have to, as a small business, try to be creative in how you're going to spread out your loss over the long term and recover, so there's a recovery period. And then I'm sure that eventually when they do their taxes in a year and 2 years, they're going to be able to claim that loss and get some money back from the government too, but or pay less taxes. So that's maybe how I see things a little bit unfolding.
Sure.
Right. So we just have 5 minutes left now. We're short on time. So we just want to take few questions. I know Ravi Nandan Sinha ji had some questions. He runs the MSME forum in India, and I think he had a couple of questions. So I'm gonna unmute you, Ravi.
Yes.
So
Hi
go ahead,
Paula,
Ravi.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
Hello, namaste. That's what we say in India.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank
I
you.
love that saying. It's the
Yeah,
best saying in the world,
thank you.
because the light in me honors the light in you.
Yes. Paula, I have a very small clarification to make here. I'm
Yes.
frequently in touch with my friends and all in Florida and in California. What I come to understand is that as part of your stimulus package, you are being given about 2.5 times the unsecured loan of your payrolls to SMEs. That's part of your
Mhm.
stimulus package. Now, my question here is the survival of an SME there. Do you think at this point of time, a SME should invest into technology to survive? Because please understand the technology that I'm talking about in US SMEs and in Indian SME varies a lot. In order
Mhm.
to now have a global presence, they need to invest. Is it the right time to invest now for an SME? In US, please understand, you are being given a stimulus package. Here in India, we don't have that stimulus package. So do you
Yeah,
think it's the time?
it's a very pertinent question, and I think that the answer lies what I said before: creativity. So basically, because your business, the way you did business before, like in my case, I used to do my workshops in person, is not going to work anymore for now. So I have to use technology. So you have to be very quick. Some of these businesses that have the option to shift their business model to integrate technology and to become maybe even if they're not lucrative at the beginning, they keep their brand image because we all know we're going to get back to business one day. This is not forever. This is a temporary situation, even though it's very hurtful for many businesses. So I agree with you. This is a wake-up call for businesses to say, now, you know what, if an emergency like this happen again in 5 years, I need to be ready. I need to have a technology plan because if us, we have hurricanes too, we have other situations. It's not just the COVID. We are always Florida living under emergency pressures. Every year we plan emergency preparedness. So what are the every business should think and should even have a plan on how they can adapt with these like I would call it an emergency preparedness plan, and how do you adapt if you want to still continue doing business traditionally like bricks and mortars, like retail, that's fine, but what if all of a sudden you cannot be in your shop? Do you
Paula,
have an e-commerce?
Paula, actually, you cannot do it because if you see the Harvard study, it says that the social distancing will continue till 2022. So you need to change. You need to come
So
up
you
with
need to
investments.
have e-commerce. That's why e-commerce has been booming. And I'm going to have a webinar in the end of May. We're trying to get some e-commerce retailers, big ones, even Amazon might be on the call. So we're going to invite you all because we're looking at what is shifting. There's a big shift right now in the way people are doing business. And you know what? Sometimes in a challenge, you find an opportunity, right? So this is like where we have to ask ourselves, okay, we have a challenge. We cannot do business in person. How do we now, like me in my case, now I can reach more people around the world. if I could do the conference virtually, imagine I could have the president of, I can even have your prime minister, president on virtually come to our conference. It's much easier than trying to get him here in person, you know? So I'm just saying, like, there is an opportunity hidden behind the challenge, and the companies have to be, they have to remain positive. Because if we don't put the positive vibration, what happens is the companies are going to go into fear status, and on the fear status they're going to remain with the old ways. And now is the time that we have to wake up and use the new technology. I think even artificial intelligence will be more needed now because of security issue. I heard that even Zoom there's a security issue. So how do we use artificial intelligence for people maybe to log in with their other ways that they can log in into the system, dual security. So this is cybersecurity is going to be a big topic, you know, that's going to happen this year and in upcoming years. So you're absolutely right. I think that the businesses have to they have to wake up and they have to quickly try to see how they can change their business model. Otherwise, they might not be able to survive if they stay with the old ways.
Okay, so we're going to take one last question. Abhishek, you wanted to ask a question. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
hi. Hi, Paula.
Hi,
I'm Abhishek. And I'm into
nice to meet you.
e-commerce. I help a lot of people to sell online on e-commerce like Amazon in many
Okay.
parts of India. So just before lockdown, I was talking to Shushma that how we can tie up the same kind of things with anyone in US. So my question is in continuation to Mr. Ravi only. In the last almost say 3 to 4 days, I have heard few good things and few bad things in the news, and I would like to just discuss that part only. The first good thing I heard is that US market is opening a lot of opportunity for India at a manufacturing end, because as Mr. Ravi said that in India people are more towards the manufacturing sector rather than the technological background. Second news that I heard wasn't on a good side, that lot of US buyer has canceled their orders or have put the money on hold, which is worth of 2 billion US dollars because of this coronavirus thing. Third thing which I came across in today's news that JC Penney has filed a bankruptcy insolvency dispute to the uh, uh, administration in the US as well. So a lot of things are in juggle in terms of retailing, in terms of ordering, and in terms of manufacturing with India. So what kind of thing do you believe that there's a probable business opportunity from US to India in coming at least a year or 1.5 year?
You're asking the question to me. Yes, basically, I think that you're right, and it's concerning to see that big retailers like J.C. Penney's are filing bankruptcy. It's alarming. Although, you know, I have to be honest with you, J.C. Penney, the way that we were doing business before with the big shopping center and the malls, people still go to malls, but people are transitioning a lot to online buying. Okay, so what's happening is Sears went bankrupt also. So these are things that naturally could have occurred, but is accelerated now because of the COVID. And what I can say is that, yes, the retailers have to be more creative with the e-commerce. It's going, and you mentioned one word. You said the delay. You know, because you have to remember this is temporary. The situation. You know, even though it might be for a long time. So there's going to be a lot of businesses hurt for a long time. And but what I'm more worried about the U.S. economy. Not that everybody's gonna pick up and consume again, because I know people are super excited to go back and do business with the world. What I'm worried about is the currency, because the government took so much money, printed so much money that now our currency is going to be devaluated. But this is an opportunity for India, for other countries, because the US dollar goes down, then you can buy more from us now at a better price. So there is some things that will, like, these are more like the macro impacts. I'm more concerned than micro impacts, because they might be able, they're gonna shift some big things, the currencies, the way people may be turning. But I'm still hopeful. The United States is still hopeful that business is gonna pick up quickly again after the COVID. and then things that were not going well, they try everything they can to recover. The keyword is to kind of do. And if people have had bad business experience, then it's very unfortunate. Of course, they might not be able to recover, or it's going to take a long time. But they have to move forward. These people, they have to be creative and move forward. So yes, e-commerce. Fortunately, the retail industry can use e-commerce. But if you can imagine, not every industry can use e-commerce. There's certain services that you cannot do virtually. So
Right.
those is going to be more difficult. So at least, it's difficult to tell. I maybe not be the right expert to comment on all of this because I'm just a local government staff. But I can tell you from what I see from our community. Yeah.
Right, right. So before I hand over to Sushma for concluding remarks, I just want to request any of our, we have got some esteemed guests. We've got Ana Maria Parosca from Miami, uh, who runs the Polish Chamber. We've got Mr. Anil Sahai, Mr. Sachin Vats from our federation. If you guys have any feedback, comment, or want to share anything with Paula, please let me know. Otherwise, I hand over to Sushma for her concluding remarks.
Perhaps you'll have to unmute everybody for that, Karthik.
I think all I've understood, Paula, and they're all still sort of assimilating what you have shared. So I hand over to you, Sushma, for concluding remarks.
Thank you, Karthik. Thank you so much for
I think you have to remove the muting. Remove the mute everybody.
hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead, Sushma.
Thank you so much, Paula, for sharing your perspectives on a few of these steaming issues which are affecting actually everyone's life directly or indirectly. You have indeed provided number of ideas that we can definitely try out here. We see a lot of support US government has extended to its companies there, and we just hope in India also government will come out with such packages soon, especially for the SMEs. So thank you so much again for your precious time. Hope to see you soon again.
Can I say one last word? We really want to work with India, the US. We want to do more trade. So, basically, what's happening is as soon as this COVID thing is over, we want to be able to continue the collaboration. So we want everybody to remain hopeful, because if the US recovers quickly, then we want also to work with India right away. So that's basically the message, because the quicker we can recover, the better our economy will be, the more we can collaborate with India, and it will be win-win for Indian businesses and for you.
Paula, one thing. Hello.
Yes.
Paula, one thing. Let's now. I think this session is over for this international trade discussion.
Hello?
Go ahead,
You're a
Sushma.
Hello.
little,
What
yeah,
about Miami nightlife now?
now I can see you better. You were frozen.
So what about Miami nightlife now?
Oh, the Miami nightlife. Well,
Yeah.
if we're reopening, you know what happened? You know David Guetta, the DJ?
Uh,
David Guetta, he did a party in Brickell and everybody was on the balcony.
yeah, that was last week.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and then we're gonna reopen the beaches. So, don't worry, the party will come back soon.
Yeah, because myself and Sachin was there in Miami for 3 nights when we were there at the Miami beach
Yeah.
and enjoyed a lot. So nowadays, I think there's nothing over there.
Well, no, I live in South Beach, so people take walks by the water. We cannot go right now. They're gonna go beach on Monday. We take walks by the water. People do virtual parties for now. I mean, it's closed, but we can do a takeout and delivery from our favorite restaurants. So so we're finding also creative ways to enjoy our company, keeping the social distancing, But as soon as it opens, Jacksonville opened the beach already. And there's hundreds of people, they walk from a certain hours, but, they do like walking and swimming. So, so eventually everything will be reopening soon. Especially my birthday is in May, so they're going to reopen for my birthday.
Great. So with that, thanks so much, Paula, for taking out time. We really
Thank you
appreciate
for
it. And thank you everyone for being here. And we look forward to seeing you in the next session of the Federation. Thank you. Stay
Thank
safe.
you,
Stay at home.
Thank you, Paula.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening
Bye.
ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank